Hey guys, I wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about possibly working at the USPS. So I was thinking about joining the workforce for the USPS. I live in Missouri. I'm actually at a McDonald's right now, so I'm parked by myself, but I'm making sure nobody else is around me. I currently work as a office coordinator, and I know that would be like such a change for me. If you guys go back like a couple of years, you'll see that I one time worked at Amazon, and that did not go very well at all for me as a medical assistant to go and work at Amazon, because it was like during the pandemic, everybody was getting raises but health workers, the ones that were in like office settings, besides the nurses, which obviously I know they need it because they're in the hospital actually going through it compared to what we were doing. But I worked in trauma, and we were also going through it because we were still having to see people that were COVID positive and had car accidents. Obviously, you can't plan your life. You come to the hospital, you find out you're COVID positive, and oh, by the way, your leg's broken too. So that's besides the point. So I quit being a medical assistant. I have never went back to that. I didn't go to school for it or anything. I just took a test online and got my certification because I'm super smart. And so anyways, I went and worked at Amazon because it paid like $1.50 more than what I was making, and you also got, I think, 3 days off. I can't remember exactly, but anyways, I didn't realize when I had taken that job that it was actually a big warehouse compared to what you see a lot of the times on YouTube. It's like the tiny little packages that you're picking and pulling and packing and stuff. That was not the case. It was like mattresses, it was barbecue grills, it was just big amount of stuff, which I was able to do the work 80% of the time until literally my last day, when they had opened up a second dock, and instead of making it the biggest priority because the trucks we were loading were not on that side of the dock, I still had to walk all the way to the other side. They had stuck just one person over there instead of sticking at least 2 or 3, and it was just me loading all of these giant cages full of mattresses. And I keep saying mattresses because that's really what we had in stock a lot that people bought. But it was like mattresses, barbecue grills, like those motorized coolers that you could sit on and ride, and then like, you know, you have like all your beer and soda in the bottom of it. And what else did we, it was just big items. It was bed frames. So I was walking from one end to the other end, and I kept telling my boss, I was like, I can't do this. I'm physically exhausted. There's no AC back there. I'm already sweating. It was September. So it was hot because, like I said, we were in Missouri, and that's the end of the story. So I quit that day because I just couldn't take it anymore. I called my husband. I was crying because I was just so exhausted, and my feet hurt so bad because you're walking on concrete floors. So it gave me a little bit of PTSD. So when about working in like a warehouse kind of thing, because I just didn't want to go back to it, because it literally broke me to have to do that, to quit without even giving a 2-week notice. I didn't give a 2-week notice because they do not care if you don't show up the next day, because they load in people like cattle. It was crazy. Like every other day there would just be a new bunch of people coming in to work at Amazon, which is fine. I love Amazon, you know. I order from it every single day. I do the subscribe and save, so whatever. But fast forward, I went back to my old company that I had worked for, but I didn't go back to being a medical assistant like I said. I went as a secretary, and then I moved up and I became an office coordinator. Even though there's really no difference to what a secretary and an office coordinator does. Maybe to some people there is a difference. The place that you maybe work at, you get more responsibility. If anything, I felt like I got less responsibility, and the work there is so boring. And when I say boring, I mean every night I go home and I just feel completely unfulfilled. And my boss that I have, she's not the best boss. The training that I had, not good training at all. So anyways, so I started looking at other jobs. I can't transfer in my current work because for some reason, I think it's a little extensive, but they make you stay at a position for 6 months until you can transfer. 4 months seems completely reasonable. Completely reasonable. If you do 4 months, and if you don't like it, you could transfer. But 6 months, that's half the year. That feels so extensive for a job that you're possibly miserable at, especially if you are getting any kind of, grief or issues from your current coworkers. Like, that could be so miserable for some people. And that's probably the reason why they leave instead of staying the 6 months and transferring, which is kind of also the reason why I'm just thinking about leaving. That was a long rant, but I'm so sorry. But I'm going through some stuff right now, obviously, with my current job. And that's why I'm kind of hesitant, because weirdly enough, I at my current job, I got put on a board for young professional workers at this company that I work at. I want to stay because it gives you the opportunity to grow, but it doesn't give you like an instant growth. I'm somebody who did not finish college. I want to be something in management, but really when you work in a healthcare environment, you usually always have to have some kind of a healthcare degree, and that doesn't apply to me since I never finished. Anyways, so I think I applied. I'm not thinking I did. I did apply at USPS, and I did that because really the benefits, the pay, and I'm getting older. I have to think about my future. I can't always just rely on my husband's benefits for when we're old. So that's kind of another reason why I was hesitant to leave my current job, because I've almost been here for 5 years. In September, I will have been with this company for 5 years. Granted, I did leave it for a little bit, but I came back to it. And when you come back within a certain amount of time, it's like, I didn't leave it all, because you still get your same benefits that you had when you left. And when I say benefits, I mean your Roth IRA and your retirement, and they still continue counting you for like you've been here for this amount of time, compared to you leaving for, I think you have to come back within 6 months, because after 6 months is when they officially start to pay out your Roth IRA and stuff like that. But I'm really hesitant because I've read a lot of stuff online about the USPS, how it's in the hiring process kind of reminded me of Amazon. Like, you apply for a position, and I know it's not the same for everybody, but it's like a first come first serve, and that's how Amazon was too. You applied for a position, you pick the time, and if you applied for it first, you got it, depending on how many time slots they needed to fill. Well, that's kind of how it was for USPS too. So I applied at several locations around me. Luckily, I'm in like a small town that's surrounded by a lot of small towns, and there's only one major city by me, and I also did apply at that major city, and I'm so glad I didn't, because most of the videos I watch on YouTube are by like the most popular videos are by people in big cities, and they're kind of the ones that deterred me from wanting these jobs, because they're like, oh my gosh, the workload's so bad, la-di-da-di-da, you're fast paced, you work 120 hours in 1 week. I don't even know how many hours are in a week, but I felt like that was a lot. I got really timid from applying at the big cities because I was nervous that I would be working 120 hours. But then when I started to actually dive deep into the YouTube about USPS, I saw that a lot of people were in the big cities, but if you drove a little bit deeper, you found some that were in the rural areas. And the position that I applied for is an RCA, because like I said, I'm in a little town. We have little mail places. I about said boxes. We have little mail places, and most of them are rural. Everybody lives out in the country here. They're rural drivers and rural mail clerks. I don't know if that's a thing, but I felt like you probably do a bit of both, because we don't have processing clerks like a lot of people talk about in their videos, and I think that's because we're small towns. And so this was my hiring process. I'm so sorry if this video has dragged on. So like I said, I'm a little bit shy and timid from going because of my experience with Amazon. I know it's not exactly the same because that was a big box shipping place, and this obviously will be a lot of envelopes, and it will have packages, but not necessarily anything of that sort, because I don't think if you ship something from the post office, it can't be over 40 pounds. So obviously I don't know if I'll have to deal with that very much. But so the hiring process was pretty crazy. So one of the towns that I applied for, it put me on the pre-hire list, and all the other ones just said like applied or something like that. And I was like, okay, so I'm moving ahead with one of the towns that I applied for. And I applied for, I believe, 5 towns, because like I said, where I'm at, I have like a surrounding bit of towns. And I did apply at the biggest city by me. I did not want that one. That one was my least favorite. But so I thought the one that said pre-hire list was probably the place I was going to go to, which was fine. It is the bigger towns, and I was kind of glad, because I was thinking in my head, the bigger towns, then for sure you don't have to drive your own vehicle. And that's one thing I don't want to do, is drive my own vehicle. We are currently a 1-car family, and that was by choice for us. And now if there's a possibility of me driving our 1 car, we're gonna have to buy another car, because I don't want to put a bunch of miles on my minivan. I'm a minivan mom because I have a lot of kids. They have a lot of friends. We're a household of 7 people, and so we have to have this van more so than to work for it, to work out of it. I mean, I was glad when the bigger town put me on the pre-hire list, because then I was like, okay, well that means that I will probably drive one of their vehicles. Well, I ended up all of a sudden getting an email from a different town that's by me saying, congratulations, you have an offer, please accept or deny. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never even went to the pre-hire list. That's crazy. And it says like, don't quit your job right now, you still have several more things you have to do. And it was like, I had to take a questionnaire. I had to fill out my W-2 or W-4, whatever it is that you fill out before you're hired, or while you're in the hiring process. And so I filled all that out. I sent in all my information of like where I've lived in the past 5 years. Have I gone under any other names in the last 5 years? It was a lot of 5-year stuff. And then you have to have like your personal references. You have to have obviously your social security number. It says like a lot of times your employment and your addresses, no gaps in between in the last 5 years, which I didn't have to worry about that, because obviously I knew where I'd worked and lived in the last 5 years. That kind of sucks for people that move around every year, but I was okay. So that's what I've done. I emailed for my fingerprints to get set up, which also I find is so odd. I saw in some of the videos that people have to travel pretty far to get their fingerprints done. I do too. I thought that would be so weird. I would think the biggest city, probably the top 3 biggest cities that is in the state of Missouri, would do the fingerprinting. No, it's like the littlest towns out in the middle of the country that do it. I was so surprised. So I have to travel like an hour and 15 minutes to the nearest place to get my fingerprints done. And it kind of sucks because you don't get paid, you don't get reimbursed. You have to do it on your own time. So obviously I have to take off some time to go and do it at my current employer, which also gets a little bit awkward trying to request off time and not even knowing exactly when your start date will be. But I don't know, like, I'm still so scared, like, to even try it. I know, like, the benefits outweigh my scaredness. And when I watch people about being RCA, they act like once you get your career position, because this is another thing a lot of people don't tell you. It's like a little hidden secret. But when you get hired on at the post office, you don't automatically have, like, a career. You are the fill-in. You have to work hard to eventually get the career position. And that's also another thing that scares me. What if I'm there for like 3 years and I still don't have a career spot and I'm still just floating around? Oh my god, that's like another worrisome. I'm gonna have to go somewhere else because now, okay, I've made it to actually where I work currently. I was just thinking, I was like, let me check my email, make sure I haven't gotten any other new notifications, because I'm waiting on the email back for the fingerprinting. And I just checked, and I have another offer out there, which I've already accepted one offer, so I can't accept 2 offers, obviously. But this one, I kind of really wanted it. But again, I was not on the pre-hire list, so I didn't think I would get this one either, since my status never changed on the application. That pre-hire list that everybody talks about, if you've been doing a lot of research, isn't what it's cracked up to be, because now I've gotten 2 job offers that I know I never have made it to the pre-hire list, because I checked my applications on the website right before I leave work and it's like 5 o'clock. So obviously if job offers were going to happen, they would have sent out an offer last night. And it's like, what time is it right now? It's like not even 8 o'clock. So that pre-hire list isn't what it's cracked up to be, because like I said, that I was on one of the pre-hire lists for 4 days and never got a job offer. And then all of a sudden I got a job offer from 2 other cities, or 2 other little towns, and I was never on their pre-hire list. Never. So people are like, well, I've been on that pre-hire list for months. Now I think when that pre-hire list goes out, it's for people to have them in reserve. If they want to hire you, then they're going to send out an offer immediately. But that pre-hire list is probably a reserve for when they need more staff members. I'm kind of just nervous about leaving this job that I've had for 5 years to go and start a new job, even though I know the benefits will be good. It's just the fact, and I even cried to my husband last night, it's just the fact that they may put me with a lot of hours, and it may take me even more time away from my kids. And this is the reason why I cried. And I know it's a little silly, but I did. I cried because you only have little kids for the first 4 years of their life. And then after that, they're big kids. They don't want to hang out with you. They don't need you anymore to wipe their butt. And it kind of just made me a little sad, and I'm getting a little crying about it now. Talk about the pay part. That is what is also drawing me towards it, besides the benefits. So the benefits obviously is good retirement, obviously federal job. but the pay, I would be making $3.30 more than what I currently make right now. And to some people, that may seem like a lot. It seems like a lot to me. To some people, it may not. But I don't know. But I think when you hit career, you get like another dollar raise or something like that. And then when you hit career, you get like a little percentage every 6 months. I'm not sure, that's just what I've read and seen online, that you get 6 months every year, like a little bit more money, because cost of living goes up every 6 months. Yeah. Let me recap what I was saying. So I'm nervous about joining, but I really kind of am excited in a way too. But like, I'm a little nervous more so than excited, because when you get, like that bottom of the belly feeling of just nervousness, like where you feel like you're gonna like poop your pants or something, that's exactly how I feel about taking this job. But I don't consider it a bad thing. I just think that's my anxiety about stuff. Because if I don't work out at the post office, it's not like I can't come back to my current job. But the fear of what I have gained already here at my current place is kind of what's holding me back. If I was to come back here, I wouldn't be at the bigger position anymore, which is fine. I don't care about that position that I currently have. It sucks to anyways. But that does kind of make me a little worrisome, is that I would be starting over again. Possibly, depending on how long I even stay at the post office, I would be really starting over. But anyways, to recap, I'm kind of leaning more towards it. I know below what your guys' experience is with being an RCA in a small town. If it's anything like what I've read online about how, I know once you make career, you do usually get like a set schedule sometimes, and you get set routes depending on the situation. And like one girl that I watch, I can't remember her name, but it's Nikki something. And for instance, she goes to work at 8 o'clock and she usually gets off at 3:30. That seems like a double bonus for me, is because a lot of the times I work from 8:30 to like 5:30 if I'm lucky. And then I have to beat 5 o'clock traffic too, which sucks because I work in a bigger town. Joys of the job, because I want to hear about the good stuff. I don't want to hear about, oh my god, my first year I worked my butt off, I never saw my family, because that is what I hear a lot of the times, is how people never saw their family, and that's what scares the pee waters out of me. So I'm about, oh god, thank you so much for listening to my rant. If I take the job, I'll post more videos about it, because I know a lot of people are super interested in switching careers into this as well. I am so nervous, but then again, I'm excited. So let me know in the comments below, if you know somebody or if you've heard some stuff. And I'm not talking about big cities. I want to hear about small towns. Small town, I may be in a rude awakening, because I know a lot of the times you don't even get careers unless somebody dies, retires, or quits. And small towns, people might be holding on to those jobs forever. So let me know in the comments below, like, your experiences, if you guys have any. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.